You guys got within 7.
We're down 16 with a minute and 40 seconds to go. We couldn't make a shot, and they're making everything. We weren't going to win that game.
Okay.
Yeah, the win probability was like at 9. Or loss probability was 98% at that time, or 99%. We're not going to win that.
JJ Redick went straight to the facts when speaking to reporters, and it wasn't an emotional rant or media spin. It was a blunt reality check. He pointed directly to the numbers, revealing that the Lakers rank dead last in three-point shooting and are also near the bottom of the league in defending the three. There was no attempt to soften the message or hide behind excuses. After laying it all out, he ended with a simple but telling line: "Gotta keep shooting." It didn't sound like optimism. It sounded like someone who already understands how this story is likely to end. Where you can direct a voice, create realistic dialogue, and so much more. Edit these placeholders to get started.
Is it a snowball effect? Is it momentum?
No, it's literally we can't make.
LeBron James sat and watched as his hand-picked coach openly criticized the roster following yet another ugly loss. This wasn't standard coach speak or calculated media messaging. It was raw frustration spilling into public view because the truth could no longer be buried. The moment raised an uncomfortable question. How long before LeBron decides that Redick crossed an invisible line and quietly starts shifting the narrative against him for saying what wasn't supposed to be said out loud? That tension hung in the air after the Lakers fell to the Sacramento Kings 124-112 on Tuesday night. Where you can direct a voice, create realistic dialogue, and so much more. Edit these placeholders to get started.
Good start, and then just a number of open threes didn't fall, and obviously that continued, and meanwhile they hit almost everything. I'm sure it's not that simple, but
It is.
Okay, so what is it? A snowball effect? Is it momentum?
No, it's literally we can't.
LeBron James and Luka Doncic combined for 64 points, which sounds elite on the surface, but the numbers fall apart once you dig deeper. The Lakers went just 8 for 36 from three-point range, a brutal 22.2% against a Kings team that JJ Redick himself pointed out is also one of the worst shooting teams in the league. Despite that, Sacramento looked unstoppable, exposing just how broken the Lakers' spacing and perimeter play really are.
First of all, they're right there with us as being one of the worst shooting teams in the league. That's the highest, or tied for the highest with Houston, for the highest anybody's shot all season. So, that's typical. We're 28th before tonight in opponent three-point percentage. We'll be 29th or 30th after tonight. Had 50 potential assists tonight. We converted on 21 of those. Expected score, we won by 24. This has been the theme.
That's what happens when you walk into a game ranked 28th in opponent three-point percentage. Every struggling offense suddenly looks elite when the defense is this forgiving. The post-game press conference was loaded with tension. When a reporter asked whether the loss was more complicated than just missed shots, JJ Redick didn't hesitate. He didn't dodge or soften the answer. "It's not complicated," he said. "We literally can't make a shot." Not an off night, not bad rhythm, just an inability to shoot. That was the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers openly admitting the roster is broken at the single most important skill in modern basketball. And he wasn't done. Redick continued by laying out the numbers like a courtroom argument, pointing out that the Kings are tied with Houston for the highest shooting percentage any opponent has posted all season, a brutal reflection of just how bad the Lakers' perimeter defense has become.
The looks themselves, I assume you're happy with. They just didn't knock them down.
I mean, if you're to have a wide open shot yet.
The Lakers entered this game ranked 28th in opponent three-point percentage, and after this meltdown, they're now staring straight at 29th, or even dead last. This isn't randomness or just one bad night. It's a trend you can set your watch to. Despite the result, the offense actually did its job in terms of process. The Lakers created 50 potential assists, meaning the ball moved, the reads were there, and the shots were clean. Yet they converted only 21 of those opportunities, which is brutal. Advanced shot quality metrics even suggested they should have won by 24 points. Instead, they lost by 12 because wide open looks keep turning into empty possessions.
This has been the theme, it has been the theme. So just gotta keep shooting.
That's when the resignation became impossible to miss. That's been the underlying theme all along. So, gotta keep shooting, I guess. Read that again. That's not strategy or confidence. That's a coach realizing there's no emergency lever left to pull. This roster either can't shoot or can't defend shooters, full stop. No lineup tweak fixes that. No motivational speech fixes that. In a league where spacing determines everything, you can't out-coach broken personnel. LeBron James sat through that press conference knowing he personally chose JJ Redick for this job. This wasn't a random hire. Redick was his guy, the podcast partner, the basketball Breen twin, the former player who gets it. He was supposed to modernize the offense and command instant respect. Instead, he's now standing in front of cameras saying the roster LeBron helped shape is fundamentally flawed. The numbers are brutal. The Lakers are dead last in the NBA at 33.8% from three. That's not just bad, it's embarrassing for a team pretending to have title aspirations. In today's NBA, if you can't shoot threes, you're playing with one hand tied behind your back. And LeBron is part of the problem. He's shooting 30.4% from deep, a number defenses are more than happy to live with, and that kills spacing whether people want to admit it or not. Luka Doncic hasn't saved them either, shooting 32% from three this season, well below his career average of 34.8%. So now you have two ball-dominant stars that defenses don't fear from the outside, trying to run an offense that requires space just to function. That's not a coaching issue. That's roster math that doesn't add up. And when the numbers don't add up, the excuses eventually run out. The role players haven't rescued anyone either. Only 3 rotation players are shooting above the league average of 35.8% from three. That's embarrassing depth for a team trying to compete in the Western Conference. Every defense knows the scouting report. Load up on LeBron and Luka, clog the lanes, and dare the kickouts to beat you. Most of the time, those shots turn into bricks. Austin Reeves being out since Christmas makes the numbers look worse, but let's kill the fantasy right now. He shoots 36% from three on about 7.4 attempts per game. Solid, not transformational. He helps, sure, but his return doesn't suddenly turn this team into a dangerous shooting unit. What it really does is expose how thin the margin already was. Defensively, the picture is just as ugly. Sitting 28th in opponent three-point percentage means nearly every team gets hot against the Lakers. That's not random luck halfway through a season. That's a repeatable defensive failure. Either the scheme gives up clean looks, the personnel can't close out, or it's both. Redick even explained how bad it got against Sacramento. He said 40 of the Kings' 61 first-half points came in early offense or transition within the first 8 to 10 seconds of the shot clock. That's what happens when missed shots turn into long rebounds and instant runouts. But it goes deeper than missed shots. This is a transition defense problem mixed with tired legs. LeBron is 40, and the roster is filled with players who aren't quick laterally enough to sprint back, recover, and still contest shooters consistently. Redick's explanation started sounding like damage control. He mentioned Gabe Vincent only being available for one game with heavy minutes restrictions, so they saved him for the back-to-back instead of using him against Sacramento. On paper, that's smart roster management. In reality, it screams limited options. When you're choosing which loss to absorb, the situation is already cooked. Advanced metrics said the Lakers should have won by 24 points based on shot quality. Instead, they lost by 12. That's a 36-point swing between expectation and reality. Some of that is variance, sure. Some of it is Sacramento getting hot. But let's stop dodging the core issue. The Lakers cannot turn good shots into real points. That's why Redick's "gotta keep shooting," I guess, didn't sound strategic. It sounded like a coach who has hit the wall, not confused but resigned. Someone who's pressed every button and realized none of them work. Because what exactly is he supposed to do? He can't scheme players into becoming shooters, he can't yell percentages into improving overnight, he can't manufacture spacing mid-season with no real trade assets, and he certainly can't bench LeBron James for shooting 30% from 3 without blowing up the locker room. So what's left? You keep running the system, you trust the math, and you hope variance eventually shows mercy. Watching LeBron's body language is becoming the real story. This isn't some assistant coach speaking out of turn. This is LeBron's coach publicly admitting the team can't shoot and can't defend shooters. That's not just a coaching critique, it's an indictment of roster construction, something LeBron had major influence over. Rich Paul floating trade ideas involving Austin Reeves tells you the LeBron camp knows changes are needed. The real question is timing. History tells us how this usually ends. When things go sideways, coaches pay. David Blatt was fired despite having the best record in the East. Frank Vogel was gone 2 years after winning a championship. Darvin Ham didn't make it through 2 full seasons. Now, Redick isn't even a year into his first head coaching job, already stuck with a roster broken in ways coaching can't fix. LeBron fans will say the front office failed him, and that's partly true. But let's be honest, LeBron had real sway. The Luka move, who stayed, who didn't, and the coaching hire itself all had his fingerprints on them. These weren't random decisions. The truth is screaming halfway through the season. These problems are structural. They're not adjustable, not coachable, and not fixable with clever tweaks or motivational speeches. The Lakers are on a 3-game losing streak, and next up is a back-to-back against Atlanta, another night where fatigue matters, where age shows early, and where opponent three-point percentage is likely to explode again. LeBron and Luka might combine for 60 points, and it still won't matter. Watch LeBron after these losses. He's not animated, he's not barking. He looks done. That's not the anger of a close loss. That's the quiet frustration of someone realizing the ceiling is low and the exits are blocked. Redick's honesty hits differently because he didn't hide behind buzzwords. He told reporters flat out, "We can't shoot, we can't defend shooters." That's not spin, that's reality. And reality doesn't care about contracts, legacies, or reputations. This is either admirable transparency or a coach quietly documenting his own exit strategy. Redick is putting everything on record, making it clear where the blame shouldn't land. Because once the excuses run out, someone always pays the price. And this situation is heading toward a very familiar ending.